Thank you for your attention. As you can see, we're a little short on trustees right now. They're all en route. I'm Jill O'Donnell Tormey. I was just named vice chair, and I figured this was a great position because I could just sit here and do nothing. And now I have to kind of take over as chairing the meeting. So unfortunately, we cannot do any action items because we don't have the necessary quorum to do that. But so we will not approve the minutes right now. We'll wait. But I think we can start at least down the agenda and start hearing things. And we will not approve anything until our two trustees arrive. Right. So I guess with that said, we'll start with, I guess it's the Borough of Manhattan Community College, AA in Economics.
That's us.
Right.
Oh,
So,
please
will we come up?
come up.
Yes, by all means.
I guess, where do they sit? I guess,
Yes.
Down there?
You can sit at either one of these two chairs right now.
Okay.
Just have a mic handy, and please talk into the mic.
All right.
Thank you.
Great. Welcome to the table. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Karen Wilkes. I'm the Senior Vice President and Provost at the Borough of Manhattan Community College, and I'm very pleased to be here with my colleague, Professor Ballardino, who's in our, trying to think of the correct department name, which is long, our Department of Social Sciences, Human Services, and Criminal Justice, which is a very large department at BMCC and houses our economists. So we are very pleased to be here to present and propose our new associate degree in economics, which is part of a strategic plan of ours to create degree programs within the liberal arts. The liberal arts is our largest major at BMCC with over 7,000 students. And we know from the literature that if we can give students guided pathways and a direction toward their career choices and toward their transfer choices, that we have a better chance at student success and retaining them and improving retention and graduation rates. We also see this as a way to spotlight our faculty expertise and give our students opportunities to work with faculty in ways that they would not be able to otherwise if we didn't have a major. So I'm going to let Professor Ballardino, anything you'd like to say?
Sure. Yeah. On behalf of all the social science faculty and the economics faculty, we're very pleased to.
Attention,
no.
please.
It's a fire.
Attention, please. This is the fire safety director. This is a test of the fire alarm system. Please disregard all audio and visual fire alarm signals. An announcement will be made at the conclusion of the test. Thank you for your cooperation.
You are.
Thankfully, we don't have to leave.
okay.
Yes. Professor, sorry, please go on.
Sorry, no problem. So, as I was saying, on behalf of especially the economics faculty, we've been working on trying to get a program together for a couple of years, and finally we got it through, and we're just very pleased that we teach a wonderful body of students, and these students will have the opportunity to be prepared to go on to a four-year degree and finish the economics degree that, according to the surveys that we conducted, we surveyed 400 and approximately 60 students, and about 30% of them, they show interest in major in economics. So the idea is to basically provide these students with a first experience of what it is to study economics, what it is to conduct research in economics. We have done a number of honor programs and honor classes in which students get to experience research and get to work with us, with faculty, and it creates the incentive to move on to the four-year degree, and hopefully, and what we want to is eventually to move on to graduate school. But this is just the first step. So we're just very happy that and excited to finally implement this program. Thank you.
And you have an articulation agreement with?
We have an
Brooklyn
articulation agreement with Brooklyn College, and we're working with at least another 3 colleges in the CUNY system. Yeah.
I'm handing this back over to you.
Apologize. This is not clearly not my day on how to. I'm so conditioned into like going to Baruch for the board meeting, and I'm standing there. Where's everybody? And then I had to call a cab up here, and I got stuck on the traffic.
That's pretty impressive.
He never takes cab.
Like, this is the first time I'm late, right?
Really?
So this is, shows you what happened on Labor Day does to you. Okay, so we are on item number 1B4 now, or is it 3?
Actually, 1B1, we
1B1.
just began.
Okay. The Borough Manhattan Community College, AA in Economics.
Right.
Thank you, Joe.
Wasn't too hard. So I don't know, we still don't have
Yes,
the
and-
quorum. Can we approve this? Yeah?
Welcome, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Good to see you.
How are you?
Good.
Good, good.
So,
We're still short on quorum?
we're waiting for trustee Shorter.
Sorry, Shorter.
Oh, wait, Shorter, we're waiting, and where's Jay?
But
But
it's a
trustee
trustee.
Thompson
That's
can
right.
vote, so we have a quorum.
Oh, this.
This is not this. May I escort you?
Yes.
Go,
Sorry.
you're leaving.
Sorry.
I'm leaving you guys.
We lost our quorum.
Oh, there goes the quorum.
No.
At least you didn't go to Baruch.
I'm gonna hear no end of
I
that.
know. But we're friends.
Okay.
Okay,
So should we just
Yeah.
discuss?
Yeah.
Okay. Item 1B2,
yeah.
which is,
Economics, AA
Hey.
Economics.
this one is the
Oh, 1B2.
Greensboro
Good,
John
good.
Jay. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. It's ASBS in Computer Science and Information Security.
So I think that's all we need from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have colleagues from?
Yeah, I'm from John Jay, I can say.
Okay, from John Jay, please come to the table. Thank you.
Is he okay?
Sure.
Hi, Doug. Good to see you, too. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Doug Selene, I'm the chair of the Mathematics and Computer Science Department at John Jay College, Criminal Justice.
Hi, Jay.
And I'm
Good
Jane Bowers, I'm the provost at John Jay College, and this is our first joint degree dual admissions program in the CUNY Justice Academy in Computer Science and Information Security. We have 4 degree programs that we have jointly with our community college partners. One is in criminal justice, ASBS, sorry. One in forensic financial analysis, ASBS, and the third in forensic science, or science for forensics, ASBS. And this will be a new set of degrees. Our community college partners, there are 6 community college partners with us, with John Jay in the CUNY Justice Academy, and at our last summit. Our partners expressed great interest in our developing dual admission joint degree programs in computer science and information security, which is in particular at John Jay a cybersecurity focus, which Doug can speak to. But that's the context for why we are here. And these are our colleagues from.
Yes. Hi, I'm Linda Reisman from the Office of Academic Affairs at Queensborough.
And I'm Stu Asser, I'm the chair of engineering technology at Queensborough.
Well represented today.
Yes.
Given what we just saw in 60 Minutes on the repeat on the, this past weekend, I'm sure everybody's so concerned about the cybersecurity.
Yes, yes. We're delighted to participate in this program, and you know, we'd like to thank very much our colleagues at Queensborough Community College for their very hard work on this, for developing a couple of extra courses, and helping us mesh this all together and make it a reality. I think it'll be a great thing for our students, a great smooth transition, gives them a path from an AS degree to a BS degree, and possibly beyond to a master's degree. And, we look forward to the program.
You're supposed to disregard that.
Attention, please. Attention, please. This is your fire safety director. This has been a test of the fire alarm system.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
test has concluded.
Just slide right
Thank you
over.
for your cooperation.
Sorry.
All future fire alarms will be live. Thank you.
Thank you.
My excuse, I went to Baruch by mistake. What was
I have multiple excuses. My apologies, though. I guess I would just add that cybersecurity is a very important field today, and I think the John Jay program is an excellent bachelor's degree program, and it really gives our students an excellent career choice to move on to, so it's a great program.
All kidding aside, I think this is very, very important, I think, not only for national security, but I think for us as a future on the global nature. I think I commend John Jay and Queensboro Community College. I know you're doing phenomenal work on both fronts.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, this is terrific.
Let's call the motion.
Uh-huh.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions? Thank you for coming on our
Thank you
today.
so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Okay, now that we have a quorum, we're going to go back to item 1A, which is approval of the minutes of the June 6, 2016 meeting. May I have a motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Please say
Aye.
aye. Nays?
Aye.
We're also joined by our chancellor. Okay, thank you. Item number 1B4, which is CUNY Startup New York participating businesses at Full City College.
And we will be joined by Vice
Welcome.
Chancellor Judy Bergstrom for the Startup New York.
And she's here.
And
Welcome, Judy.
yes, thank you.
So let me just give you a little bit of an introduction, and then I'll explain why I'm sitting in this committee giving the presentation. I think, as everyone knows, Startup New York is a program created by the governor. It's to create tax-free zones on eligible campuses. For businesses, they have the opportunity to operate state and local tax-free near and academic campuses, and their employees pay no state or local income tax for a maximum of 10 years. The program, I just want to compare this a little bit to SUNY. SUNY has this program. CUNY has a program, this program, it is in the economically distressed communities. So we have the program in 5 schools. SUNY has them in every single school. As you can see, it's Bronx Community, City College, the College of Staten Island, Medgar Evers, and York College. The other colleges in CUNY can participate, but they have to basically go through a much bigger process. For SUNY has approximately probably 200 businesses already. And I'm going to give you the differences between the two programs. The program has many administrative requirements. The steps involved for the businesses to join the program is outlined on the slide. The section in orange on the left is the process to have space approved as a tax-free area. The colleges coordinate with the central office. This is the key piece. Okay, the next slide. Okay, when Startup was created, it was created for upstate New York, where there was plenty of space. In New York City, there's not plenty of space, and it's probably
Attention. This is your fire safety director. We are testing the low-rise elevators. So can you please stand by for 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes? After the testing, we will make an announcement.
Sorry. It's okay. So we don't have space. Every single campus in CUNY needs additional space, or maybe 1 or 2 campuses need renovated space. So in order to basically create a program, we had to create space. So that's where I come in, because that's my world: facilities, finding space, renovating space. So what we have been doing in the last year is developing an infrastructure for space. And how do you do that? If you basically look up at the slide, startup space must be approved by a campus plan. And what that means is that whatever space we find has to become part of the campus plan. And how does that happen? The way you find the space, and then there is a process where you have to notify the community, the electeds have to basically approve. Now, how do you find that space for CUNY? This was the really difficult part. Colleges can lease space through a nonprofit. The nonprofit can basically lease space to the business. So what you have to basically go through is you have to find the nonprofit has to have space, then you have to go through the process of making that space part of your campus plan. So for the last year, and this is Megan Mogul, she's the director of the program, I'm describing it, she did it. So you have to make that part of the campus plan. So first you have to find the nonprofit that's basically willing to do this, and then you have to go through the process. So what we have done is, for the 5 campuses, the 5 boroughs, we have found a nonprofit, we've developed a relationship with them, there are all kinds of legal documents, and now CUNY is ready to basically move this program to the next step. Now, SUNY did not have to do this. SUNY has campuses, and SUNY also, it was part of the program where if SUNY had a facility that was 1 or 2 blocks away from the campus, they could take, that facility could have 200,000 square feet of space, and they could use that space. So when you read about it and you see the numbers and you ask why we have a small amount and why SUNY has a large amount, the rules were very different. They had all their campuses, which is 64, we basically have 5. But now we are basically ready to move ahead. So now that we've provided what is needed for space, now it's an academic decision, and you're going to basically see why. So now it's basically, I guess Vita's really lucky, it now becomes an academic responsibility. So that's why I'm sitting here doing this, and that's why I'm kind of like, we're still going to do the facilities piece. That's the explanation of, number one, why it took CUNY much longer than SUNY, and why our facilities problem is much, much more difficult than basically what SUNY has. So that's kind of the framework. We have 2 businesses that we're going to talk about today. We have one business that made it through the process. This is basically monitored by the Empire State Development Corporation. One has made it through, 2 more are in the process, and then there's these 2. And probably in the next 5 or 6 months, we will have a business in every single one of the 5 campuses. Now, let me just talk about the nonprofits. The nonprofit for Brooklyn is the Brooklyn Navy Yard, which is a really, really good place for CUNY. The Brooklyn Navy Yard became part of this, and the Brooklyn Navy Yard first offered us 7,000 or 8,000 square feet of space. They now came back and they offered us more space. So the school that's attached to this is Medgar Evers. So Medgar Evers at the moment, if of all the businesses in process, will have 3 or 4 businesses, and people want to be in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. So for Medgar Evers, I don't have somebody here from Medgar Evers, but when you hear the faculty talk about what's going on with Medgar Evers, there is a real synergy, there's a relationship. So this is an unbelievable benefit for Medgar Evers, and that can basically keep growing. We also had in Brooklyn, Industry City came to us. Yes. Industry City came to us and said, we want to be part of this program because it will attract more businesses. So though we're starting out small, this will basically grow. So we have a nonprofit in every single one of the boroughs. So I think I kind of explained this and give you why I'm sitting here and basically what the next steps are. So the business plan is kind of the the becoming part of the campus is probably the most difficult thing that you have to do, and now CUNY's past that.
Given, Judy, given its popularity, I presume there'll be more company wanting to do the same. And what do you anticipate in terms of projection of the spatial needs?
Well, you know, it's interesting because there's two types of businesses in this program. I mean, it's pretty hard to qualify. It's not easy. So you have a new business, and I have to say, for me, this is really, really very interesting because people come in with, and you can hear, people come in with ideas that some of them are really going to make it, and I listened to this, I only wish I thought of some of these things. And then you have businesses that were, let's say, in another state, and they want to move. So we have an example today of a little business, and then we have an example of a business that basically wants to move from another state. So that business could be much larger. That could be, I think the one we're going to see today is like an $8 or $9 million business. So it kind of depends, and it also depends, the answer to your question, on the nonprofit. I see the Brooklyn Navy Yard expanding. I see Industry City expanding. And I also see where in the Bronx we're using Sobro, and I see them expanding. But I think it's gonna be slow because you'll hear from the schools. In order to get into this program, you have to have a relationship with our schools, and it takes 3 or 4 or 5 months for the schools to go back and forth, and we've had businesses that basically have been rejected. So I think at the beginning it's going to be very slow. The other piece that we added that SUNY did not have is almost an integrity piece. Because I do capital construction, I'm really concerned about who we do business with. So we have basically put in a check on businesses that I use when I do capital construction. Now, a little guy, there's not too much to check, except who's basically giving the money. But the larger companies, yes. So maybe we made it more bureaucratic, but one of the questions when this came up a year and a half ago is like CUNY's liability. So that's kind of what the program looks like and the qualifications for the businesses. It's not so easy to basically get into this program. You first go through ESD, there's a whole process there, then you basically come to CUNY, and you basically have to offer CUNY something. But I can just say that Medgar Evers, the relationship is really, really, I think, adding to Medgar Evers.
Judy, could you talk a little bit about the kinds of academic benefits that come to colleges that partner with these companies?
Well, I have a slide on that, but the thing I have learned from this program and listening to presentation, I really think that the piece of, we'll show you the list. Let's get to this is what, I think that would best come from the academic side of CUNY and from the campuses. They kind of can give you the best picture. So these are the possible this is the possible academic affiliations, full-time jobs. You have to give internships. That's part of the program. So this is kind of like the menu that you basically can pick from. And a school can ask for other things. A school can ask for a donation. It's really up to the school. And I think what's happening is businesses want to be in this program. So if the schools push back and forth, they're going to get basically a lot more. So Vita, I could go through this because I've been through this, but I really think that I should have people from the schools kind of describe instead of,
That would be wonderful.
So I think we should do that, except I just have to tell you, I gave you a picture, I have some more slides, but the first one I'm just going to do, it's called Chexology, which is one of the resolutions. So I just wanted to, this young man comes, what?
Is that your favorite?
No, actually, every time we do this, I have a favorite. You know, somebody came in here last time with about heating. You know, if you live in a building that's like, I don't know, 100 years old, and you get heat. One room is hot, one room is cold. So they basically came up with basically a cover for the radiator that basically will talk to the cover for the radiator in another room. And they just started, and they're in 2 or 3 buildings in Manhattan. So you asked me, I like that one too. But Chexology's interesting, and it's free to stop me if I'm.
No, by all means, go ahead.
This young man comes in, and he starts talking about basically what his idea is, and what's his idea. You go into a restaurant and you want to hang up your coat, and you give the check, right? They give you a check, you put it in your pocket, and you lose it. And he came up with, he basically computerized it. You basically walk in, he gives you you take your phone, they take a picture, you get the check basically on the phone. So that when you come back to get your coat, you don't need the check, it's basically computerized. And I was fascinated, but then he talked about, well, they're gonna do this in airports, and what are they gonna do? Like if you go to Kennedy in the winter and you're gonna go to Puerto Rico, you leave your coat, and they put a chip on your coat. So to me, that one's fascinating. So they give you a description of what it's like, very small, and then they describe where they think they're gonna go, which is totally fascinating. So I like that one, but I'm gonna stop now, and I think that the two, I guess I have people here from the 2 schools, and the Chexology is basically going to City College, and I have the Associate Provost for Research here, Ashwell Undich, and maybe you'd like to talk about what I just described, and you could describe what the benefits are for your school.
Please come up to the table and identify yourself.
Thank you. My name is Ashwell Undie. I am medical professor of neuroscience and physiology at the CUNY School of Medicine. I am also the associate provost for research at the City College of New York. I'm President Koiko's designee to lead the startup program at City College. I have been associated with the program right from the beginning, and so I'm very much aware of the ups and downs and the mirages we have encountered, particularly with regard to space, as Judy has described. I must thank VC Bectrom and her staff, particularly Megan Mulgrew, for their leadership and support in driving this program forward. Without them, I think some of us would have thought about giving up long ago. So City College's Startup Campus Plan emphasizes the creative strengths of the college in science and engineering, as well as in technology and biomedicine. So in our plan, we expected to sponsor companies that will take advantage of the resources, intellectual as well as physical resources that we have to advance their technologies. And in so doing, we find ways in which we can interact in a mutually beneficial way. So Chexology is a startup company that is focused on innovative technologies for bailment transactions. So that's the kind of keyword they use to describe their technologies. And it has potential applications in a wide range of areas. Their starting area was in coat check, and so from there we got the name Chexology, essentially going to places where people have to hang up their coats, and by having a system that identifies the owner automatically and identifies the property also automatically, they increase efficiency and security in that transaction. So when you come back, you don't have to wait in long lines. As you're approaching, your item is identified and brought back to you. In the example of checking coats at the airport, for example, as the plane arrives, as you begin to approach, the technology would potentially identify you. Okay, this individual is walking down. and they bring your code. So as you arrive, the exchange occurs. So it increases efficiency. It also increases security because you don't have situations of misplaced tags and situations where perhaps something they had clipped on the code comes off, because this would be much more secure. So the core technologies and the computer software that this business uses and expects to further develop and use are squarely within the expertise and resources of City College. So we see a very good fit from that perspective. So the academic affiliation agreement that we have negotiated and agreed to with Chexology provide for multiple benefits. Before I describe those, perhaps I should add that while our initial expectation had been that we would have space on campus to house these companies, as it turned out, we do not have the space on campus available and ready for this purpose. So we went through a three-way arrangement, as Judy described, involving a church, Convent Avenue Baptist Church. They had space that they were not using, and this company found the space suitable, and we entered into a three-way arrangement that now makes that space available to the company. So the space they are going to use is located off campus, which means there's less of our involvement relative to a situation where the space would have been part of the campus space. So the benefits that we have identified include a minimum of 3 paid internships per semester from among our students, with opportunities for full-time positions as well. They will advertise available positions on our campus student service job placement sites, and they will interview our students for those positions as well. Chexology will donate $6,000 to the college each year. We found that it would be really beneficial if the company sponsored seminars and workshops related to their technologies and similar technologies, as well as entrepreneurship and other student initiatives. Rather than have the company come in to organize those activities, they would make a donation of $6,000, and then we will internally use that to support these programs. Thirdly, Chexology will collaborate with the Zan Innovation Center to judge our annual entrepreneurship competitions, and they will also select from among the winners a company that they will mentor in the process of that company developing their technology from conception toward the proof of concept stage. This is perhaps one of the I would consider, one of the 2 top benefits to us, because finding mentorship to support the development of these ideas by the students is usually one of the limiting factors to the progress of their technologies. So they would be there, they have the experience, and they would provide hands-on mentoring to our students. The other benefit I think is very important is that the company will host 1 annual charrette with students and faculty from the School of Engineering, and this will be an opportunity to lay out what problems and challenges they are encountering, receive ideas from our students and faculty in terms of solutions to those problems. And those ideas will invariably fall back to those who generate them to work on, and there would be a partnership with the company where the intellectual property coming out of that will be owned by the students or faculty who are developing them, and then licensed out to the company. So this is a potential avenue for generating additional challenges and opportunities for our students. And lastly, Chexology will assist the Branding and Integrated Communications program at City College in developing a curriculum area regarding sales and marketing of new technologies. And Chexology will do that also by delivering 2 lectures within that course, essentially sharing from their experience and answering questions with the students. So Chexology's business model fits well with the strengths and mission of City College, and so the campus is pleased to strongly recommend the board's approval of the proposed sponsorship of Chexology for the Start of New York program. Thank you.
Chair Chen, I have two questions.
Sure.
Please. So my first question was in regards to the space being off campus. Is it conveniently located for students, but also in terms of the internships, how will the selection process for students go and things of that sort?
Okay. The space is located on 145th Street. The School of Engineering is on 141st Street.
Okay.
And 145th Street is one block also from where the campus shuttle stops.
Okay.
So we think it's very convenient indeed, right? For the internships, the company will send out job descriptions to our coordinator of student, job internship office, and they will publicize this, and then students who show interest will now be forwarded to the company for interviews and so on.
Okay. So the school won't make the selection process? Is what
No,
you're saying? Okay.
no, the company will make the selection process. But we set the criteria, the minimum criteria that the company will use. So that will ensure that we have a wide net to cast to get the right students.
Very nice.
Thank you.
In terms of the church, besides getting a lease out of it, I presume the church is getting a lease out of it. Is there a guarantee for the term? Is that, or are you going to have to renegotiate in a few years?
The terms of the lease are strictly between the company and the church, but we expect that with the company putting in a lot of investment to renovate the space, they are looking at a 20-year term, so that should be adequate.
Sorry, 20-year lease. And they do fit out, and they will do the fit out. Those were my questions, but the other one is that this company's business plan shows 5-year job projection of 4 jobs. That's 4 per year or in total?
Well, these are total new jobs to be created.
Over a 5-year period.
Right.
How does that relate? I assume that in looking at the business plan, you saw a 5-year projection of revenues. Is there any relationship between the revenues and the number of jobs created, in your mind?
Right. So they were aware that whatever they propose, they are going to be held to it.
They will be held to the 4 jobs?
Yes. So they projected what they would be able to generate, even if the business doesn't grow beyond its current level. They also use a lot of part-time job situations. For example, there is a U.S. Open. Last year they were there. This year I'm not sure if they are also there. So during such occasions, they can hire up to 200, students for that event, and then afterwards they let them go.
Maybe, are you pressed for time? Is that?
Yes, we are. Frankly, yes. Thank you.
Maybe the issue of the jobs, we can basically give you a better picture. Because there's one more, you have another company to basically vote on.
President Macia is sitting.
I defer to Dr. Chirico and Ron Thomas, who are
well,
here. I'm just here in the support of
Dr. Chirico, she, thank you very much. Okay. She did the for this business, she did the presentation. There's a committee that meets before this.
Okay.
And there's nothing, she gives an unbelievable description. The only thing is that they're just limited to time.
Yes, I was told I had 3 minutes, which starts now. First of all, I hope you appreciate the synchronicity that the first project coming from York College is York Analytic Labs. I was so confused when they first came to us. I can't even begin to tell you. Ron Thomas said to me, "We're going to have a meeting with the president of York." And I said, "Yeah, and?" And I have to tell you, you saw that very long list earlier about possibilities. We have approached Startup New York basically as kids in a candy store. We have an opportunity here to get a great number of benefits for our students, faculty, and programs, and we have not hesitated in asking for those pieces, for those 3 things. So yes, we want internships and scholarships. We want to be able to have faculty research and work in our labs, and we want to be able to build our academic programs not at the undergraduate level, but at the master's level, because that's where we believe we can attract more students to CUNY, not simply at the undergraduate level. We already have an environmental health science program. We already have faculty testing air, water, and the other things that York Analytic Labs does. So we are prepared to take advantage of these companies, let them bring what they're not paying in taxes to us to benefit our faculty, students, and programs. Thank you.
Under 3 minutes. Trustee Shorter.
30 seconds, maybe less. Is the college responsible for monitoring each of these points, the benefits? Is there a program in place or an infrastructure in place? And it pertains to Checkology as well. To what extent is the college responsible for monitoring each of these benefits?
We anticipate that we will be monitoring all aspects for a variety of reasons. One has to do with the integrity that was mentioned earlier. We want to make sure these companies are living up to what they claim they're going to do and what they're going to bring. And we also want to work with, as someone raised the issue about internships, how do you decide this? We've had these conversations already with the folks at York Analytics saying, we want to work mutually with you. We know where our students are, we know where they should be. We have students who may have special interests that we want to target to you, and we feel it should be a mutual decision, not just the company making certain kinds of decisions. So we anticipate that the key word here is going to be collaboration between the staff at York that's going to monitor the different pieces of this. Facilities will monitor the facility side, the academic folks will monitor the academic side, working with York Analytic Laboratories.
I missed it. Is the space on campus?
No, the space is off campus. We have a marvelous facility literally within a half a mile of the campus that was once Long Island Railroad warehouses. A very clever entrepreneur took this warehouse and is subdividing it into spaces for companies. So this is where York Analytics has now taken a space, and one hopes we are going to be bringing a second place to you next time. They are already in this warehouse. That's how we learned about it, because this company had come forward. It's a very dynamic space, easy to shift, lots of space for growth, really clever layout, clever way they've done things, and again, within walking distance, although we can certainly have a campus shuttle, but it's literally 3 blocks away.
So for both York and City College, in the development of these programs and the approval, were the faculty actually involved, and which faculty were they selected by, for example, the faculty senate, by a governance body? What was the governance, the shared governance?
Well, I cannot speak for
Right,
City, but at York, we've really tried to look at who are the faculty who would be the most interested or have the expertise connected to these businesses. And then we worked with department chairs, with the provost, getting the biographies of those individuals, what their research projects were. We literally at one point had a sheet of, 20 different faculty, and then we kind of honed that down to the folks who seemed they had the closest interest to this. So it was really faculty volunteering because they're eager to take advantage of the facilities and the equipment that York has and provide certain kinds of laboratory techniques that we don't have on our campus. So it was really the faculty stepping up and saying, we would like to participate.
Great.
Let me just add that our faculty has said very clearly, and I appreciate this from them, that they don't really think it's their job necessarily to turn somebody down. They feel that there are opportunities that might exist that we might not even be aware of. So I have to give our faculty a lot of credit that they've been very willing participants in this.
At City College, I made a presentation to the Faculty Senate, full Senate, and then the decisions were made by the College Research Council, which includes representation from all the schools as well as from the Faculty Senate.
Great. Thank you very much. I think that's a wonderful model that hopefully in the future, if there are more colleges or more businesses participating, that there be a presentation to the faculty governance body and buy-in by the faculty, because this is, fraught with possibilities, good and bad. So,
If there's any other, if you have any other anybody have any other questions or issues, just let me know and I will
I
get.
can see the energy and the excitement and the long process. Congratulations to all involved.
Thank you.
I know we're pressed for time, so for now, I know the conversation will continue and the process still continue. So let's just, should we move the two items as a block? So may I have a motion to move the items, the two startup items?
so moved?
One at City, one at York. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions? Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, trustee Chen. Thank you, and best of luck to all of you. Colleagues, I wanted to take a few moments to discuss an important informational item that is not on the agenda. This item does not require board approval, but nonetheless, it is one of the most important steps that a university can take, and I therefore wanted to discuss it with our board. CUNY is about to launch, with your support, comprehensive reform of developmental education. As many of you know, and as some of you have read in the master plan, there is no greater barrier to student success at CUNY than our current developmental policies and practices. Every year, 57% of all CUNY freshmen university-wide, enter CUNY having been assessed as needing developmental education. In community colleges, the figure is above 80%. For years and years, student outcomes in developmental education have been poor at CUNY and elsewhere. They have been particularly poor in mathematics remediation, where students need to pass in an elementary algebra test. Not because of CUNY policy, but that has been long-term CUNY practice. Indeed, I have figures suggesting that over the past 6 years, passing rates in the test to measure algebra proficiency have not budged at all. In fact, if anything, they've gone down from 37.4% in fall 2012 to 35.7% in spring 2015. This despite the best efforts of our faculty, the best efforts of our colleges. Over the past year, I've chaired, because again it was the duty closest to me, the most important of my many priorities. I've chaired a task force of CUNY provosts, of the discipline council leaders in mathematics, English as a second language, reading and writing, of specialists in developmental education, and we've met every month for many months. Our journey started a year ago this month, in fact. I have also consulted with the Council of CUNY Presidents, the Academic Council of CUNY Provosts, Department of Education, the including Chancellor Farina and Deputy Chancellor Phil Weinberg. We have consulted with national leaders in developmental education and mathematics education, and read an extensive literature and studied best practices across the nation. We've looked at the work that's been done in California, in Texas, in North Carolina, in Virginia, to good effect, evidence-based practice. We are ready to announce our recommendations. I've discussed this with the Chancellor, and Chancellor Milliken is supportive of them. And I would like to win support more broadly across the university. Essentially, colleagues, here are the recommendations in brief. we are concerned, based on our readings and based on CUNY experience, that the way we place students into remediation itself is flawed. We have over-relied on high-stakes testing when we know, and indeed, when many prestigious testing companies like the College Board and like the ACT admit that their tests are faulty. So we would like to supplement placement tests with high school grades, and perhaps someday also number of mathematics units taken, so that we could use more information to place students into developmental education to begin with. Once students are in a developmental path, it's crucial that developmental education is delivered as expeditiously and as efficiently as possible. We now know that time is the enemy of the student who enters developmental education. Life intervenes, students come to believe that they're not college material. Students don't actually fail out as often as they drop out between long developmental sequences. We now know the traditional forms of developmental education, which are lecture format, drill and practice techniques, are not highly effective. Please keep in mind, colleagues, every student comes to us having taken years of algebra in middle school and high school. If students have struggled with algebra when it's presented in that way, they're often not going to profit from instruction in that manner at the college level. So we need more innovative developmental education using such proven techniques as active and adaptive learning, group work, applied work. We need new methods of delivering developmental education. Again, new methods that have been tried and have succeeded elsewhere. Most importantly, and frankly most controversially, we would like to initiate at CUNY a practice that's common elsewhere, and or increasingly common elsewhere, and that is to permit alternate pathways to mathematics proficiency than algebra. Studies now show that students do better in developmental math when that math is aligned with the student's academic and career interests. So a student who is a social scientist might profit more from a rigorous statistics course than a course in elementary algebra. A student in humanities might profit more from a course in quantitative reasoning. So we would like to require every CUNY college, many already do in fact follow this practice, but we would like to require every CUNY college that offers developmental education to offer at least one course, one alternative to algebra, to developmental algebra, in order for students to achieve math proficiency. Finally, our plan is to change our policies for exiting remediation. CUNY is an outlier in how it enables students to exit remediation. CUNY relies heavily on high-stakes testing for this purpose. For example, right now, every student who leaves developmental math must both pass the elementary algebra final exam and pass a course in which the elementary algebra exam is worth 35% of the course. That puts our students in double jeopardy, and again, it's uncommon practice. In most other colleges and universities today, students must pass the course, and a standardized test is part of the course. We would like not to eliminate high-stakes testing entirely, not to eliminate the use of standardized tests, but to put them in their proper context within a course so that students could be graded on both their coursework and their performance on a test. Again, these are major changes for CUNY. And we appreciate the magnitude of such reform. But again, after years and years of not making progress in helping students exit remediation, begin credit-bearing coursework, and make progress to degrees, we've become convinced that many students who can succeed in college, who truly could succeed in college if only we gave them a chance, if only we gave them the opportunity and the tools to succeed, are not doing so. We would like to try what more and more colleges, including CUNY, SUNY colleges, are doing, and reform our remediation. I would like the support of the board, as I have sought the support of our provosts, our presidents, and we'll begin a campaign to win the support of our faculty and students for these reforms. And I would be pleased to provide the board with a case statement that provides documentation and puts all of this forward, and also to provide you with an annotated bibliography of studies that support this approach, including lists of states that have adopted this path. I know we just have a few moments, but this is of such importance. I would be happy to answer any of your questions. Again, we're not flipping a lot of switches immediately, but we are going to begin some reforms, especially one that is not controversial, colleagues, and that's the reform by which we enable students to exit remediation without both passing a test and passing a course of which the test is a major part of the grade. That strikes many of our colleagues as being almost inherently unfair and putting too much power into giving the test too much power. So please.
I had to commend Vida and all the members of the task force for tackling this important subject. I think we know for many years, and we have said it many times, what the university cannot handle is the K through 12. All of a sudden, the community college have to absorb it within 18 months and turn it around. And that is really unfair, and it's a burden on the system. And I think that anything that can be done to mitigate, given that the bar has now moved in all these years, that the percentage remain there, and I think this is very worthwhile. Just a question.
Yes.
I know that a lot of times we place it on the student side. Is there any on the development side for the teaching? I know certain countries are very adept at teaching math, for example. I still remember being taught in those countries where the teacher is so proficient, you get it. You really get it, even as a very short exposure, the time element, the time efficiency.
No, Trustee Chen, you raise an important issue. Preparing underprepared students to succeed requires institutional vigilance and requires quality control. And you are right. We do know some of what works, including in algebra. In fact, CUNY is a national leader in certain kinds of innovations. You've all heard of ASAP or CUNY Start, Math Start. These are highly effective interventions, often given in unusual formats. Many of these are non-course-based interventions, and they work. One of the reasons and we're expanding them. Now you may say, well, why don't you give all your students ASAP and CUNY Start? Frankly, it's because of how very expensive those interventions are, and the fact that not all of our students are willing to postpone matriculation to take to enter ASAP or to take CUNY Start. But you're right. Can we teach math more effectively and efficiently? Yes, and we must. We're not doing enough. And one of the ways I want to launch this reformation or transformation is to wrap it up in a larger STEM initiative. Because I'll be frank with you, our students don't do extremely well, even at selective colleges like Baruch and Hunter and Queens and and Brooklyn and City don't do as well as they might in their beginning math classes. For not developmental math, gateway math. Baruch will admit that that almost 50% of their students fail some of their math courses. So can we improve math instruction? Absolutely, and we must, at the developmental level and at the gateway level. Same is true of calculus and economics and other tough quantitative majors. So that has to be part of our solution.
You're going to be preparing, did you say, a case for this?
I've got a case that I would like to present to the, first I wanted to talk it with you, but yes, Trustee Shorter, we have a case statement and I will send it to you tomorrow. I will send it to the members of Capra tomorrow. We've not made this public yet, and I want to say I understand that a change of this magnitude has not just academic and societal dimensions, it's got political and symbolic dimensions. I care very much that that these reforms are accepted in the spirit in which they are offered as doubling down on academic rigor and quality and not the opposite, but I will send you the case statement tomorrow.
Well, Liz, I appreciate that. Three quick questions.
Please.
One, will the case statement you're sending us talk about the best practices where you saw them? You mentioned North Carolina, California.
Right.
Related to that, the bibliography of
Yes.
what you used.
Yes.
And thirdly, has the faculty senate been briefed on this as yet?
Very good question. The University Faculty Senate leadership has been briefed. I have not yet spoken this in front of the plenary. That is, and I'll be frank. In talking with the Math Discipline Council, there was not unanimity in acceptance of these reforms. Absolutely not. Although we made great headway on virtually all of them, save one, the alternative to algebra proficiency, as you know, as enabling students to pass. In other words, the faculty were, and David Crook, the University Dean of Institutional Research and Assessment, is here with me today. And David, in fact, would you please come to the table for a minute to, is it not the case that I think we made great strides on the matter of how students are assigned to developmental education, that is using multiple measures, including grades. We received support for that. We even received support for how students exit remediation. The sticking point was alternatives to algebra, and even there, I would say we made headway. Why don't you?
Sure. Well, as part of the task force meetings, we actually took the stance of inviting some of the fiercest critics of setting up alternatives to elementary algebra in to speak with us. There are about 4 math chairs around the system who hold firmly to the algebra for all approach, that no matter what the student's intended major is, whether it be humanities or social science, or statistics is what you need, or STEM, that remedial students should have to go through elementary algebra and master a certain fairly extensive body of that topic. And we heard from them, and we heard from some of the provosts who have had experience with alternatives, that where students are taught prepared for statistics instead of a college algebra course, or prepared for quantitative reasoning instead. And so we heard both sides of the story. Within the math discipline itself, there's quite a division of opinion right now. The conservatives hold to the algebra for all approach, and some of the innovators around the system, like Gutman Community College, LaGuardia, BMCC, have represented their viewpoint that a more flexible set of options have been working for them. So that seems to be where we are as a university right now.
So there is a principal difference of opinion? And we respect that. And again, I see it as our job this year to build support for the position. And I will say another thing. We, at CUNY, we want more, not fewer STEM majors. We want students to be, we would love nothing more than for students to come to us proficient in algebra, and we are committed to working with the DOE K through 12 to produce more students who are proficient in algebra. I understand, we understand, that algebra is the language of representation. It is the language of relationships in mathematics. And if you're pursuing lots of paths, and not just STEM paths, but business paths. I mean, many of Baruch's majors require an algebra-intensive preparation, right? Right, so it's not, this is not a simple matter of STEM, non-STEM.
Is the
There are
gateway course to be a business major at Baruch.
absolutely, and therefore, and wherever a disciplinary group decides that algebra intensivity is an important part of their major, of course we respect that. And again, our goal is, please understand, our goal is not to dissuade people from taking algebra. Nothing opens more, nothing opens more possibilities than algebra preparation. And, and so I want to make that clear as well. What we do want is, I'll give you one quick example before I know we have to leave, colleagues, and that's this. CUNY intends to be, and you'll see this in our master plan and strategic framework, more welcoming to adult students, to returning students. Many adults who seek, at a time when higher educational attainment has never been more important, they want to improve their credentials, they want to advance. When students have been out of school for 20, 30 years, they're not going to pass. Most of them are not going to pass an algebra proficiency exam because and so what we're thinking, and now if they want an algebra intensive major, well then they must. But if they do not, the question is, why are we denying them the chance to ever, advance because of algebra proficiency, when we truly believe that in this case, the exam score would underrepresent their knowledge and skills. I know I'm going on too long, and
I'm just going to jump in for 1 second. We know what we're doing, and we've been doing it for a long time, isn't working. So we really have an obligation to the students and the system to move on. And the plan that's been put together, I think speaking on behalf of the presidents, is a really very viable approach to this, and it has broad support.
Well said, and I couldn't agree more, because you just look at that example of startup, right? The productivity gain of the consume so many jobs that are, we're going to have to be producing a new type of workforce, a new type of society that's going to be highly efficient, highly educated, and without these basic skills, we're not going to be a viable competitive nation. And it's as simple as that. And this university revolves around students.
It does.
So yesterday, the university, in answer to your question about whether the Vice Chancellor has presented to the Senate, yesterday the University Faculty Senate Executive Committee met for the first time this semester and invited Vice Chancellor Rabinowitz to come to our first plenary, which is September 20th, to present this. So we will be engaging at our very first meeting. Just want to, I know this is going to be hard to imagine, but we have lots of freshmen coming in from our K through 12 system who cannot do basic arithmetic. I mean, arithmetic.
That's a given.
Okay, I know
I'm
that's
sorry,
clearly
we need to
have
wrap
to
it
leave the
up.
room.
Okay.
One last item, I've been told that we have, due to the lack of quorum, we did not
minutes,
vote on.
Approve the minutes.
No, we voted on the minutes.
But we didn't do the economics.
first two,
The-
that's right.
We voted on the second, we didn't vote on the AA in the economics in BRCC.
Thank you.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the meeting's adjourned.
Thank you,
very much.
colleagues, thank you all.